want to talk about what I call the leap of faith. And the leap of faith is embracing entrepreneurship and joining me in changing the world. And I'm not going to talk about what you should do, because there's a lot of good organizations and people out there that can help you with that. Innovation Norway, Startup Weekend, Entrepreneurship Week, and others. But I will try to reflect on why you should be an entrepreneur and how you should think to become an entrepreneur. The definition of entrepreneurship is, from Wikipedia, it's designing and launching and running a business. And it's especially a lot of running, I can promise you. But this is the definition of entrepreneurship. And I started looking at numbers in Norway. You know, what is the state of the union when it comes to entrepreneurship in Norway? And DNB, which is the biggest bank in Norway, made a survey and did some research on that. And what I found is that there is a workforce of 3.7 million people in Norway. And of those 3.7 million, 500,000 people dream about becoming an entrepreneur. But unfortunately, only 1 in 10 person follow up. And I started asking myself, why is it that way? And I can also add to this statistic that only 28% of the 1 in 10 is a girl, and that also should be changed. But why is it this way? Why is there so many broken dreams? And what people cite as reasons for not becoming an entrepreneur is income insecurity. It's especially a lack of business know-how and also a lack of investment capital. And funnily enough, 16% think it's a problem not having a good business idea. I think it's quite the opposite. But I don't agree really with these numbers. And I guess this is the mind, or this is the way people perceive entrepreneurship. It's quite a roller coaster. But I think I don't agree with the numbers, and I think there's a woman called Kåre Bottolfsen, which is a professor in psychology in Stanford University, and she has this saying about the tyranny of no. And the tyranny of no, she categorizes people after 2 mindsets. One is the fixed mindset, and the other one is the growth mindset. And a fixed mindset is having a fear of failure. A fixed mindset is about thinking that you have a fixed amount of abilities that you can't change. And if you then try to challenge something, you're very likely to fail. And that's going to lead to people looking at these numbers and thinking about all this uncertainty, etc., and they're going to stop becoming entrepreneurs. And I think a lot of people think that way, and they should change their thinking. So there is a cure to this, and that's the growth mindset. And the growth mindset is about challenging stuff, challenging yourself, thinking about how you can process problems and challenges, how to put an effort into things to make change, and also show perseverance and resilience to improve yourself. And the outcome of that kind of thinking is that failure actually can be learning. And when you're an entrepreneur, you're going to do failures, a lot of them. But don't fear doing failures. Embrace that and actually learn from it to become better. And if you think about these numbers with the team today about disrupting the norm, let's disrupt these numbers a little bit and try to create another point of view on these numbers. Because if you think about income insecurity, this is the average lifespan today of a Standard & Poor's 500 company. So some time back ago, you were having lifetime employment. The company would outlive you. Today, it's 10 years on average, and it's going to drop. And also, there was talk about self-driving cars. Computerization is hitting society big time, and it's an ongoing process. And I read another study from 2013 saying that computerization would affect 702 occupations. And 47% of the American workers would be affected by computerization. And it's not only in the US, it's happening other places too. It's going to happen here as well. But if you have the growth mindset, this could be a stick or it could be a carrot. But if you're an entrepreneur, you're going to see both as opportunities because it creates opportunities for change. And one of the things that I've learned from being an entrepreneur is that entrepreneurship is a journey. It's a journey about learning. It's a journey about improving. It's a journey about doing failures and then improving. It's a journey about running 10 steps ahead, then going 4 steps back, then keep running, showing perseverance, and that's going to bring you someplace. And also, when you think about, knowledge of business management, if you look at this guy, I don't think he had very much knowledge about business management. This is, I think, 14 or 15 years ago. He was sitting in a dorm room drinking beers and creating a hot or not girl app at the university. But today he has a grand vision about changing or connecting everyone on the globe. I can promise you he didn't think that when he was sitting there. That's something you grow into as an entrepreneur, being able to see a clear goal and mission. And also, people are staying overnight outside Apple stores to get the newest, hottest iPhone. But, Apple started someplace else 40 years ago with this thing here. And I don't think people would stay overnight waiting outside a store to get this thing. And Apple is the most valuable company in the world. So in between, from the start of entrepreneurship to not the end for Apple, but something happens in between. And that's the process and the journey of entrepreneurship, where you learn to improve. And I also think that it is not difficult to get capital. I'm not saying it's easy to get funding for your business, but it's not impossible, and it's not a reason why you shouldn't embrace entrepreneurship. Good ideas will always attract capital. And if you have a problem paying rent, then you get thrown out, you sleep on a mattress, and you think you can make money out of that. And in 8 years, that idea is worth $10 billion. It just shows that it's possible to get funding and get value in a company, even if it's a very, very simple idea in the start. In my own experience, we started TicketCo with a $4,000 credit line. We were our own first customer because we thought all the other systems were really crappy. And the event we were running flunked. It failed. So we had to turn around to try to sell the system. And the four first customers we sold the system to, it crashed every time they tried. But that is it's 10,000, it's actually more. It's almost 15,000 events ago. So there's been happening something in between. And that is the learning of all the failures that we've been doing, and of course other hard work and efforts. And I also think that ideas are really, really important. You can't have it's been said here, a purpose. You have to have an idea to be an entrepreneur. And it doesn't necessarily have to require a lot of money. This is a really inspiring talk by a guy called Richard Turere from Kenya, and his village had a problem with lions attacking cattle. And by using spare parts, junk parts, car batteries, etc., and a book and a curious mind, you were able to create a flashing light system that kept the lions away. So he could actually create and execute a great idea with basically anything. And people sometimes ask me, what is it like to be an entrepreneur? And being an entrepreneur is a roller coaster, I can tell you that. But I just call that living, because the option of having the ordinary is, to me at least, very, very boring. And it's a very fulfilling life being an entrepreneur. It also the journey as an entrepreneur will start as going into the unknown, the abyss. You don't know what the journey will be. And that kind of fear you have to overcome as well, and just embrace it and just go into it. Take risk. And it's also a lot of failures. This is our iOS or smartphone developer trying to create ticket printout on the app. It didn't go very well, as you can see. But we do failures, and we learn from that, we improve, and we keep on running with the company and growing. And it's also a lot of uncertainty, because entrepreneurship does not have a fixed map with a journey telling you where to go. You have to embrace that journey and the unknown and just venture into it. And if you learn by your failures, and if you work hard, and if you're persevering, you're gonna continue that journey, even though you don't know where it's gonna end. Like Mark Zuckerberg, he didn't know what Facebook would become. Apple didn't know. We didn't know in TicketCo either. And it's also a lot of struggles. My best friend died from me. I almost went, I hit rock bottom financially. That's past, but it's also quite struggling from a personal point of view. But even though when you have struggles as an entrepreneur, there will be sunshine. You will have a product improving, you will make more money, you will get more customers, you will get smarter, learning from your mistakes. And it's a lot of hard work, but it's also a lot of fun. Really, really funny. So I enjoy the life of being an entrepreneur very highly, and it's a very meaningful life. And also quite enjoyable. We got our own beer as well. And you only live once, and you spend so much time working. If you spend 50% of your life working, you should think about what you want as a purpose with your job or your work life. And I strongly encourage you to challenge yourself, embrace knowledge, embrace learning, embrace failures. And it also gives you an opportunity to create change. It also gives an opportunity to impact people. It also gives an opportunity to improve someone else's life. And that is a really, really meaningful experience. And the last thing I want to say is that, success is not a destination for you. A success is the journey where you enter into entrepreneurship. Thank you.